I'll bet that just by looking at me, you could tell that I'm a gamer. The pale skin that seems to glisten in the moonlight.
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
Blue light glasses that do nothing other than block the blue light from my computer screen. The bad posture. All of these things lead to a diagnosis of hardcore gaming. So when I found out that there was a movie for people like me, you know I was in for the ride. Gamer, releasing in 2009, features Gerard Butler and Michael C. Hall as the main protagonists and antagonists of the story. The quick elevator pitch that I would give this movie is the same question that every serious gamer has thought of at least once in their life. What if a video game, but it real people? Immediately when you begin watching Gamer, you are bombarded with the insane promotion for Slayer, which is the in-movie game that the movie is based around. Nothing is safe. Apartment buildings, Times Square, obviously. Like the Egyptian pyramids are not even safe. Also, Slayers is one of the funniest slogans ever created for a video game. It's not murder, it's Slayers. So the game uses real people as avatars? Yeah. And they actually get murdered. Yeah. I don't think people are gonna want to play this, man. That seems awfully close to murder. Like just straight up murder. Oh, dude, just wait till you hear the slogan that Jeff from marketing came up with. Hey, Jeff, get in here. Get in here, man. I also want to point out how immediately cheesy all of the visual effects and motion tracking are. It's very apparent that the editors just kind of put the words there and didn't bother masking off or distorting any of the stuff. Like, there's a little bit of tracking, but overall nothing really fancy. That's why everything looks a little bit off in this sequence. It's so easy to do, in fact, that I'd like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Slayers. It's not murder, it's Slayers. Entering into the first scene of this movie, we see Gerard Butler running through this urban war zone. He's just killing everybody. Nobody's safe. Everybody is dying. There's explosions everywhere. It's a bloodbath, essentially. And you see these weird, like, static, like, little shots, and it goes like kind of everywhere. And it's sort of suggesting that there's some, like, lag or ping issues happening. More on that later. But none of this really seems to bother him. He's kicking ass anyway. He's running, he's shooting, he's really setting the scene that, like, you know, our protagonist is like, he's a badass. Pretty quickly, we hear the first line of dialogue in the movie, which, I mean, really sets the stage to let us know that this is a movie for gamers. Finally, gamer representation in media. At the end of this opening sequence, we see Gerard Butler's character get blown out of the top of this warehouse that he's been infiltrating this whole time. It's at least like a 40 to 50 foot drop, if not more, and he falls directly on top of this minivan, which can't be comfy. That can't be a good thing that happened. And he just walks it off like no problem. He's like, ugh, and he like looks over at this really janky looking CGI checkpoint. There's a little bit of important dialogue that happens here in the save point, but overall, nothing super crazy. They revealed that Gerard Butler's gamer tag is Cable, although he insists that his name is Tillman, and they only have 3 more games until he's, like, set free. In the next scene, we get to meet Michael C. Hall's character. To really emphasize his gamer nature, they let his first line of dialogue be an iconic gaming quote.
We live in society.
I'm the Joker, baby.
And he just kind of says stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Rickety dickety doo.
We had that on t-shirts back in 2010.
Ken Castle is our bad guy. He is the billionaire creator of Society and Slayers. He is quite literally playing with the lives of people that are less fortunate, that are signing up or kind of forced to be in these games that he's created. A lot of people seem to really revere him. He's popular. They say that he became more wealthy than Bill Gates overnight. Just a lot of really crazy stuff coming off from this guy. He gives off a really menacing and immature demeanor. I think Michael C. Hall does a really good job of portraying Ken Castle. I could definitely see this character getting really mad in an Overwatch lobby because a girl gamer didn't pick Mercy to pocket him the entire time, and he just takes that really personally. In this scene where we're introduced to him, we learn that he created 2 games, Sims with real people and Call of Duty with real people. Now, you may be asking yourself, how exactly does this process work? Well, if you are a death row inmate, you have the opportunity to enroll yourself voluntarily into Slayers. Now, the main reason that you would want to do this is if you survive 30 games, you win your freedom, and you're no longer on death row, you are no longer put to death, and you can reintegrate yourself into society. Not the game society, but regular society. Once you are enrolled as an icon in Slayers, you undergo a surgery that essentially turns your brain cells into nanotech and turns your brain into a remote access entry point so that you can be controlled by someone remotely. Or if all of this is just a little bit too technical for you, it's pretty much the equivalent of like jamming a Steam Link box in your head. Going along with this, they also add in this line that I think is really funny. The interviewer just goes,
"Isn't it true that every human that undergoes this procedure will have a distinct IP address?"
Which for some reason I think is very funny, because it's like, oh, you mean to tell me that they have like a distinct IP address, as if it's this like really crazy tech term, when really it just means that like that's the, digital ID, like for whatever device you're using, which I guess if you're controlling somebody, that person is then kind of, turned into a device of sorts. The interviewer also asks another really hard-hitting question.
Why isn't it murder?
Gina, when's the last time you saw somebody volunteer to be murdered?
And before this scene ends, we are introduced to the Humans. They are a rebel group that is against Ken Castle. They don't like him. They want to try to break everybody free from the grip that he has on like the government and gaming industries. If you remember from earlier, I mentioned that there was another game that Ken Castle made, and that game is called Society. Now, the best way that I can describe Society is that it's basically a lot like other live form games, kind of like Cabo Hotel, Gaia Online, or Second Life, in that people are just kind of around doing things in different simulations. Immediately true to movies that came out around this time, like, you have women taking their tits out and making out, and people are tackling each other and just being like real degenerates. You get this establishing sequence where this woman tackles a woman on rollerblades, and like they're all scraped up and they're like licking the blood off their arm, and you get to see like the people that are controlling them like laughing, and then like the other people are laughing. It's just this really weird sequence that really kind of sets up like kind of how fucked up this whole idea is. I think it's a really neat way to introduce Society. It's no secret that the new character that we're meeting is Tillman's wife, and she is unfortunately being controlled by this absolute Discord moderator of a man. Like, no disrespect to the actor, but they really did him dirty in this movie. Anyway, the gist is that she's being controlled by this pile of a man who is using her as an escape to basically have sex with as many people as he possibly can, which really kind of seems to be the point of this game. And he's got a high score, if you know what I mean. After Cable wins another victory royale, we get to meet Simon, and he's the gamer that is behind all of Cable's success. He's the guy pulling the strings from his gamer room, and that's how Cable has won so many games. He's basically what you expect. He is every shitty teenager that you've ever met that used "I have a dark sense of humor" as an excuse just to be like really racist. Continuing the trend of iconic first lines, Simon hints us with this.
Shut up, fish.
What do you say fuck me for?
They really just set up how shitty his character is, just kind of seeing all the stuff that's on his like desktop, which, true. Then we get to see his fantastic decision-making skills at play.
Gay, tardily gay.
He also then gets hacked, which is kind of more of just a video call by this gamer girl with the gamer tag of "To Catch a Predator," which I think is very, very funny because for whatever reason, she looks just like Miranda Sings.
You suck, Simon. You're gonna get my boyfriend killed before he can get out of jail and before he can fill me up with his hot seat.
I really, really wanted to write something funny for that, but I just don't think I could have written anything that's more funny or absurd than that in and of itself. We also get a call from a set of British twins who share an account named Cum Dumpsters with a Z. They do very little to add to the story other than...
Do you want to see our tits, Simon?
Yes, I do.
Now that we have your attention,
The next time we see Cable, he's testing out his new gun and bullets that Simon bought for him in the previous scene, We also are able to get a little bit more insight into how the relationship between the player and the Slayer works.
Who aims? The player or the Slayer?
I'm the hand. Someone somewhere else is the eye. Sometimes they take over completely. They move you around like a robot, but that don't work so good.
Why?
The delay.
Yeah, the ping.
Then what the fuck is the point of the game? You're telling me that the best-selling game of all time is one where you don't have full bodily control of your avatar? What if they released Mario, where he is the only one that can decide when to run and jump? What if you were playing Call of Duty and you're getting your ass handed to you by a guy in spectator mode? Spectator mode is the best way to play the game? You're telling me this is a good game? Like, this is basically the equivalent of me saying that I am an elite Dark Souls speedrunner because I watched a GDQ video on YouTube. Let's check back in with Cable. He is about to go back into the battlefield for his 29th session. Only this time, as he's running into the battlefield, we now find out that he can communicate with Simon because the humans gave him like a mod that allowed the two of them to communicate. They're not supposed to be able to talk to each other, but this is like a brand new thing. The only important dialogue that we need is that Cable asks Simon for like full autonomy so that he can continue to win and earn his freedom by himself without experiencing any of the lag or the ping issues as I mentioned before. Nothing really happens in the next few scenes, but there are a few things that are worth talking about, so I'm going to hit these rapid fire. Tillman's wife tries to get custody of their daughter back, but she's already been placed in another family. Humans talks to Simon about releasing Cable, and Simon says a little too much. Tillman talks with a humans agent who has been sneaking into the facility and communicating with him, and he requests that he gets really drunk before the final fight. All right, so it's Cable's last stand. He's getting ready to enter his first session of Slayers and win his freedom. He finds a bottle of what looks to be vodka and just absolutely starts chugging the hell out of it. He runs through the hallway and immediately he's just blitzed, like he's stumbling around and he is on the ground. He's like rolling, he's like shooting his gun in the air and like it's just, he's having a bad time. Now, it's been a little while since my party days, but I don't think that he would be able to get this drunk this quickly, but there's only one way to find out. All right, so I've got this like bottle of vodka here. It's not quite as big as the one in the movie, but I figured I'm a smaller guy than Gerard Butler. He's probably got like, I don't know, 65 to 80 pounds on me pretty easily. I'm not a very big guy, so I'm just gonna drink this and we'll see what happens. So. This is water. This is water. Eventually, Cable gets his shit together long enough for him to find an SUV that just kind of happens to be there. I don't know if he knew that they were going to be in a parking garage, but I guess luck would have it that his plan is just happening to work out. He then proceeds to do what I think is probably the most asinine thing I've ever seen in a movie. I'll just play the clip. I think Simon says it best.
Oh, what the hell?
Now, I don't know if this would work in real life, but there's only one way for me to find out. Hi, yeah, so I filled my gas tank with water by accident. No, I meant to use vodka, but just to kind of see if that would work. But it's for a YouTube video on YouTube. Also, I pissed. Now, right after Gerard Butler gets done doing some maintenance on his car, there's this big, expensive action sequence where, like, he's dodging missiles and, like, people are shooting at him. He's driving a car real fast. And he escapes. He survives impossible odds and escapes somehow, although we don't really see, like, the actual escape itself. He just kind of drives off, and that's pretty much it. And what do you know? He makes it out alive, and then Ken Castle and the media proclaim Cable is dead. We then show up at the humans' base of operations. Long story short, Ludacris tells him that he knows where his wife is, and Tillman goes off to go find her. We're back in society, and Tillman's wife is entering a bar. There are people eating bugs. I personally would not want to eat a bug or drink a martini with a worm in it. And adding to that list of things I would not want to do is I would not want to meet the character that we are about to see.
Hi, Nika.
His name is Rick. I bet you can't tell what his character is like. But don't worry, this scene is super short-lived because Tillman enters the room and ends the life of Rick Raven.
Rickety dickety do.
Okay, so while Rick slowly dies of a back injury, Tillman and his wife have a brief reconnect. She's still being controlled by the Discord moderator, and they begin to make their escape. They are pursued heavily by King Castle's armed goon squad. There's a whole lot of action that happens in this sequence, but again, none of it really matters. It's just fun to watch. And it all accumulates to the interviewer from the beginning of the story rescuing Tillman and his wife because she is in search of the next big story. Tillman very briefly threatens the interviewer's life.
You're dead.
And they both make their merry way back to the human's base of operations. I'm just going to very quickly run through a lot of the stuff that happens over the next 20 minutes of the movie because none of it is super surprising if you've ever seen a movie before. Tillman's wife is saved by the humans and the mind link between her and her Discord moderator is severed. There's a little funny scene, well, it's kind of funny, where the Discord moderator gets a knock on his door and tech support comes to end his life, apparently.
Who are you?
Tech support.
It's revealed that the reason Ken Castle hates Tillman and kind of has it out for him is because Tillman is ex-military and he was part of the program that helped develop the nanocell technology that replaces human brains. Tillman shot his friend in the forehead under the control of the nanocell technology, so Ken Castle had him forced onto death row in order to cover up the incident, even though Ken Castle was the one that made him shoot his friend in the head. Also, if you remember from earlier, Tillman has a daughter, and she was placed into a wealthy family. Surprise, surprise, it's Ken Castle who now owns his daughter. I don't think that owns is the word I was looking for there. The one who adopted is the word I'm looking for. So now he has to go to Ken Castle's house and save his daughter to reunite his family. All right, so now we are at the actual final showdown. Tillman is able to just kind of walk into Ken's house. There's no guards, no nothing. He then sees his daughter sitting in an empty room, only... Obviously, his daughter is not there. That'd be way too easy.
You imagine porn on this thing?
Now, I may not be the most menacing guy, but I do know a thing or two about musical theater. Now, how are those two things related, you may ask?
Oh, what the hell?
This part is just iconic. If you've ever heard of or seen the movie in the past, this is probably the scene that you remember. It's just so goofy, and I love everything about it. While Ken does his little dancey dance, we see the human cell being wiped out completely. It was planned on Ken's part, he knows that Tillman's going to come here, so while that's happening, he's going to go exterminate and kill everybody. Ludacris dies, everybody's dead. It's kind of just like a bloodbath. Tillman is just beating the hell out of everybody while Ken is singing a little tune. When Tillman is finished, Ken is just like...
You're awesome.
Ken Castle keeps Tillman from killing him immediately because he vaguely threatens to kill a child, which is classic villain behavior. Ken reveals that he is also wired with nanocell technology.
I replaced 98% of my own noodles with nanotissue years ago.
Only his brain is set to send signals instead of receive signals, meaning that he basically has the power of mind control and can directly control anybody that also is infected with that nanocell technology. The final fight between them is very, very fun to watch. It's very neat to see Michael C. Hall just be a little goober against the guy who has consistently kicked everybody's ass the entire movie. Once Ken Castle gets bored of fighting, he brings in Tillman's family as an audience because, classic villain behavior. Ken then proceeds to mind control Tillman into killing his daughter with a knife. Don't worry, it doesn't go that far because, of course, the one weakness to mind control is love for your family. And also Simon. Apparently, Simon just happened to log back into Slayers and has full control of Tillman again, even though he gave Tillman full bodily autonomy earlier in the movie. They do not explain why he has control again. Maybe he uninstalled the mod. They don't explain it. Ken is on the defense, begging for his life, classic villain behavior, and Tillman finally has his moment to shine.
Look at this knife. Imagine me sticking it into your gut.
And it happens.
You imagine porn on this?
So Tillman kills a man in front of his daughter, his very young daughter, and then immediately he goes to hug her and like, oh, this is like the perfect moment for our family to be reunited. They have a very small reunion when the tech support guys from earlier begin to leave the room, and Tillman stops them and asks them to shut down the Nanex system, which would free everybody from the clutches of this company.
It means nothing to you. It's just a mouse click.
Oh man, that part is just so funny because they just say, yeah, that's fine. And they just touch like 2 buttons and then like the whole system is down. It's like it was that easy the entire time. The tech support guy goes,
Well played, Cable.
and then the movie just kind of ends. Before I end this video, I want to touch on a few things that I thought about while watching this movie 5 times in order to make this video. I know I've been shitting on this movie like a whole lot, but overall, I thought it was very entertaining. I don't think it's a good movie. I think that it is a great movie to watch like on Discord or with a group of friends and just kind of shit on a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. There's a lot of like visual gags and bits that I didn't include in this video so that people could like watch it and enjoy it for themselves. Because really the plot doesn't matter that much. It's more so just being able to sit down and watch this movie and enjoy it for what it is. Because it's not good. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a good movie. Like, one of the things that I think is like kind of important, but not really, is that Tillman has this really cringy forearm tattoo, like all over his forearm. And it's just like very basic script that says, I am always with you. And it's basically like if you turned an Affliction t-shirt into a tattoo, it's kind of what it reminds me of. That's also the line that Tillman's wife says to him to help him overcome like the mind control that King Castle has over him so that he doesn't kill their daughter. The final point that I have you may have already caught on to, and personally I think is the funniest part of this entire movie. What if I told you that Terry Crews is in this movie? He plays a main cast villain, and it just does not matter to the story at all. You could have 100% left Terry Crews out of this movie, and it would not have impacted the story in the slightest. If we rewind a little bit, Terry Crews' character is another Slayer that Ken Castle put into the game solely to kill Cable, only it's under the guise that Terry doesn't have nanocells in his brain, which I believe legally is just murder. His character's name is Hackman, not Hackerman, by the way, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity considering like he doesn't have the nanocells in his brain. So it's kind of like he's hacking because he's not constrained by the same rules as everybody else. But you know, what do I know? Hackman is supposed to be the most serious, deranged, psychopathic killer. And all he does the entire movie is just get his ass kicked by Gerard Butler. I don't think there's one instance in this movie where he's not just getting the absolute shit beat out of him. Terry Crews acts the absolute hell out of this character too. I mean, he's getting run over. He's getting shot in the foot. He's getting punched to death and his arm's broken. Like, he gets the absolute hell beat out of him. There's only one part where you're like, oh man, he got him.
Hi, Cable.
But even that is very short-lived. In the scene where Cable and Simon first are allowed to talk to each other, there is like a slight part where you're like, oh shit, he's got him like on his back and he's gonna pull the trigger and shoot him in the head. But then like the bullet just kind of falls out of the chamber of the gun.
Bye, Cable.
and then a guy with half a face and like a goon squad comes and just kind of escorts Terry Crews away like it's no big deal, which, I mean, doesn't make any sense either because, you know, he's fucking Terry Crews. Also worth noting, Terry Crews does a little song from Pinocchio in a locker room and his cock is out.
There are no strings on me.
It's very, very funny and not menacing at all, probably because he has his cock out. I really hope that Terry Crews got paid a lot of money to be in this movie because he really is the star of the show. Every moment that he is on stage, it is comedy gold. So good job, Terry Crews. Thank you, and I love you. Well, that does it for my video about a movie that is 14 years old. Please let me know what you thought in the comments if you're going to watch the movie, or if you thought the video was funny, or you hated it, or any of that stuff. I am a very, very small channel, and I would love to make more videos like this in the future. So please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that stuff that I'm supposed to tell you to do at the end of videos, and I will see you in another video. Bye-bye for now.